Now, do you ever meet those friends that have bought a property and you think, oh my God, how did you find that? You are so, so lucky. We're going to teach you what to look out for when buying properties so you're lucky. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Mr. Novak, we all need some luck in our lives, don't we?
We do. We do.
And what do they say? The harder you work, the luckier you get. That probably comes down and into account when you're on your property search as well. I know from experience there are some people that you come across that really go all in with their due diligence. There are some people that just sort of jump in straight away without looking at much else. So there's a lot of different ways people look and buy property within, I think. What are the sort of things that you would look out for on your generic property search, just to start off the topic, and then we'll get into the hidden feature side of things?
So I say, what's that question again? What are some of the things you?
Yeah, what are some of the standard things you'd be looking at, and then what are some of the things? Let's go into from the other side, the more complex things that maybe the more experienced buyer would be keeping an eye out for, whether it's contractually, whether it's other bits.
Yeah, well, like, and what gave us the incentive to talk about this on the show today was James has got this incredible property, waterfront Sylvania, and we were trying to project to the market the hidden gems that are in there. We thought, oh my God, if people missed these hidden gems, they could be royally screwed. If people find these hidden gems, they are absolutely going to profit so hard from something like this, because those benefits aren't obvious. And just to give you a taste of what we're going to talk about, that this particular property that you have in Sylvania, which none of us really spoke about as a sales team, but it actually had a half a metre or 1 metre walkway. I think it's more like 1 metre, James,
Yeah.
from the house down to the beach. Then it opened out to about a 30 metre squared, 50 metre squared pad of land, which went onto a beach. And it was like, how do you let prospective purchasers know that there's these features? Now, not only that, there's water down there, there's power down there that's being run from the house. So, and not only that, it actually went even further. Some clever cat, now don't know if it's going to happen or not, don't know if it's possible or not, but some clever cat who's going to find this is actually going to work out they can put a jetty. Now you're starting to put super value on a property. For people that may not ever identify or execute any of these things on a property, how do you look for those things, and what are those things? It's really interesting.
Well, this is it, and I think with a property like this one in particular, you look at the site plan and the diagrams, and you can't really tell. You're next to the water, but you don't know if you're on the water. Is it your land? Is it not? Is it on title? So I think a lot of people might look at that, or they'll look at the contract, just having a basic skim through, maybe before their solicitor runs their eyes over it, and you think, am I on the water? Is this beach mine? Is it theirs? Am I sharing this? So, the first port of call for us was to have it clarified immediately, not just through my eyes or Mark's eyes, but get the solicitors to confirm these details, and then you can say, right, get the information out there so it's clear for everyone to start off, and hopefully then when the buyers come through, you're opening up more different more thoughts, more different areas that you can explore when you purchase that property to add value.
And if you've got a trained eye, you can actually identify when agents don't. And to give you an idea how scary this is, this particular property that James has put up for sale last night, when it was last on the market, these things were not identified. That there were these potentials of value that people can unlock at all. So it's pretty amazing that you could be a prospective purchaser by the things we're going to talk about today. You could be a prospective purchaser with a trained eye, and you could identify these things that are adding a huge value. Zoning is one of those things on a property. Height is one of those things on a property. We can build something additional, additional dwelling or a larger dwelling because of the height, because of the density. There's things that we've got to speak about today that are going to help you identify and unlock huge value in potential that sometimes people completely miss.
All right, well, let's get into the mark. From your years of experience in the industry, what are things that might be easier to miss to an untrained eye, or things that you just don't even come into your mind when you're looking at the the property physically? What do you need to keep an eye out for?
I'll tell you a cracker one. Billy from the office, we had him on the show yesterday, and he was talking about his property that he's purchasing. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about it. But he was looking at buying this place, and his mum's like sitting there going, "Man, this is so much money for my 18-year-old son. I'm scared." And I was like, "Hang on a sec. The property he's buying has got 4 units in it." And she said, "It does. 600 grand. It does." And I said, "And there's 2 shops downstairs, which makes it 6 titles." She said, "That's correct." And I said, "What's the zoning of the land?" She said, "The zoning of the land obviously is shops." So we looked at the zoning, and it was shops, as in medium density. I said, "How many stories can you do here?" We looked at the zoning of the land, 3 stories. How big is the block here? 700 metres squared. A lot of these zonings allow boundary-to-boundary building, which means you don't need to have a 5 metre or 1 metre setback from the side or front or back or anything. You can just build boundary-to-boundary. Here's my point. I turned around to her and said, "Your block of land's probably worth $5 million here." It was a great suburb. It was Mossman. And I said, "It's probably worth $5 million here. If you develop this," I said, "Billy's actually buying a unit for 600 grand." I said, "But if you look at 1/6 of just the value of the land, it probably puts it at 800,000." And she was like, "Shit, I never looked at it that way." So my point is, everyone's just looking at it on face value. This is a 1-bedroom unit without a balcony. And if you have that clever trained eye with zoning, with what can be done, you can go, "Hang on a sec, I could potentially sell to a developer down the track." Billy could sell to a developer down the track. Billy could keep buying these 1-bedders until he owns half of them, until he owns 2/3 of them, and start, all of them as he gets older. So there is that there is that potential you've got to look out for. That's just one strand in a strata.
Yeah, and that's a really good one, and that's again something that 99% of people aren't going to look at. Which, it makes a big difference. And then you think about not just your singular focus. It's not short term. You can think really long term. Then how can I actually leverage this into really benefiting me in the future, or me and my family in the future?
Big time.
One that was really interesting. Back to the Sylvania one quickly, Mark, was the jetty conversation that we were having, and we were just trying to work out exactly what the situation is with putting a jetty onto your water, adding a waterfront sort of piece. And again, the home doesn't currently have one. It has the ability to have one. Current owners have lived there since it was new, haven't thought about it, didn't come into their mind. But even in the conversations I've had with people in the last 24 hours since the property's gone live, the people that are inquiring are boat people, the people, they're kayakers, they're all sorts of different people that are water-based. Yeah, 100%. And the feedback hasn't been, "I need something that's smack bang on the water. I don't need all of this, but I want access to the water. How can I improve that? How can I have storage and do all of these little things down there to make my life easier?" So there's people that are savvy out there that are looking at little opportunities when they come up and think, maybe this is a middle way. It's a steal into getting that perfect scenario. So it's quite interesting, the perspective of purchases the prospective ideas that come to your mind when you speak to these people.
And look, I think also just asking the agent, like a lot of these trained agents, you know what? There's 2 thoughts to this. You don't want to give your game plan away to the agent. So do you know what I mean? You don't, if the agent's not promoting the potential that you can see, you don't want to give it to them the gift horse. We've done it ourselves. This is embarrassing to admit. We had a property in Balgala which had 2 street access, and we put on the market for 3.3. The agent had 6 agents through. It got down to 3 agents. They chose us. All the other agents were experienced, local, good agents like us. 3.3 it was sold for, and everyone fell off their chair. They could not believe that it actually got that much money. Now, this is the embarrassing bit. The guy turned around 6 months later and rung us up for an appraisal.
Right. For
left the original house and now has a block of land he wants to sell.
Yeah, right.
So the original house is the market. So without the market moving, because we all know that's crazy, but without the market moving, the original house was 2.8 to 3 because it had a block chopped off the back, but it had its own street access. The new block of land was worth 2.
Yeah, right. How long did it take for him to get his DA and his subdivision all approved? I know the time.
14 weeks.
14 weeks. So that's growing your assets value by by 40% in 14 weeks, plus capital growth.
Under our nose. Now, the agent did not promote subdivision potential. No agent saw or promoted, or when they were pricing for the client subdivision, the potential. The client didn't see subdivision potential. But sometimes if people just rip it. I want to say good morning to Luke Moroney. Buy the house in the best street in the best suburb. Buy the unit, then the best street. And look for opportunities. You know what? Buyers agents are good for seeing these opportunities as well. There is a shitload of money in property. And guys, this is a live show. If you do have any questions, comments, make sure on the Novak Facebook channel and make the comments. Ask the questions. We're here to answer. Any other things, Luke? I'd love to know if you've seen any ones that you've loaded up and made a customer a fortunate amount of money because you've seen potential that nobody else has seen. We've talked about today, before we close up, we've talked about seeing subdivision potentials. We've talked about seeing, like JETTY or potential like with zonings and stuff like that. The zoning change is very speculative. I probably wouldn't put this one in here. I'm talking about stuff that's clear, present, can be done straight away. What else have you seen before we go as a nugget, James?
Well, on the zoning one, very, very quickly, we had the 7 Morgan Road that we previously sold up in Belrose, and that had the zoning was undetermined. So it left just grey, as opposed to, as you said, something you can do immediately. So again, some people would look at that and they think, can I subdivide this? This is a 7,000 square meter block. What can I do? What's my potential? There's so many little things. So have a good lawyer by your side, have a good real estate agent in your pocket, have a buyer's agent if you're buying out of town. It just comes down to having the correct information or seeing the correct information with the facts in front of you. And often, as you say, they're not presented immediately. You have to dig them up. So yeah, I think it just comes down to your due diligence and what's Luke said here, just buying potential when agents don't take it to market, more so agent sellers looking for a quick sale. Well, that's what buyers agents are able to do, thankfully, for them.
Well, what happened with Parr Road? Do you remember Parr Road for $2 million?
Yep. Well, that was it. It's like the flash sale. You can go into that one if you want.
The owner was didn't want it, was going to pass, didn't want it to go to public trustee, and wanted it to sell and settle, which means the $2 million had to be fronted up, and the keys were handed over within 7 days. That goes exactly back to what Luke was just saying. Sometimes people just want speed, and that is that is potential as well. It doesn't have to be tricky dicky like zoning or, second stories or subdivisions or anything. It can be just plain old speed and opportunity. Yeah.
Yep. So again, situational. Speak to all of the people in your corner, and hopefully you'll make some informed decisions on your property journey. So
And guys, look for the hidden gems for sure. There's some of them.
they're under your nose.
Yep. Literally.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
James,
I think that's a
thanks,
wrap.
James. All right, bud. Take care. See ya. Bye.